Today we're taking a look at these NFL matches, which are happening on Sunday, December 12, 2021, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 270 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting advice that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advice. Detroit Lions vs Denver Broncos. Jared Goff marched the troops down the field and with 4 seconds left, hit Amon-Ra St. Brown for an 11-yard touchdown pass to give the Lions the 29-27 win. And the people of Detroit rejoiced. The Lions were outgained, had fewer first downs, lost the time of possession battle, and lost the turnover battle, and yet they still found a way to win. Goff threw for 296 yards and 3 touchdowns with 1 interception, while Jamal Williams rushed for 81 yards. St. Brown caught 10 passes for 86 yards and a touchdown, while Josh Reynolds had 4 catches for 69 yards, and TJ Hawkinson had 4 catches for 49 yards and a touchdown. Even though the Lions have generally been competitive this season, making for good numbers against the spread, a massive flu outbreak plus key injuries heading into a tough road environment in Denver isn't the best way to build momentum from last week. The ever-inconsistent Broncos have found a way to bounce back from tough losses all season, and their defense will be in control of this game. This has been a solid Broncos defense in every facet, with 5.4 yards per play allowed, and their secondary led by outstanding rookie Patrick Surtain too, will make it difficult for Detroit's limited wide receiver group to get going. Goff has struggled badly for the most part and won't have the same type of space he found last week against the porous Vikings defense, while both Hawkinson and Swift being on the injury report leaves Detroit without much playmaking. Our first betting advice is to pick Broncos -10. Denver has a matching 6-6 record against the spread and has failed to cover in 2 of its last 3 games, including an ugly blowout loss at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Overs are an ugly 2-10 for the Broncos, with each of their last 6 games going under the betting total. It has generally been a struggle for the Broncos offense, which is managing just 19.8 points and 360.8 yards per game to rank in the bottom 10 of the NFL in scoring. Denver has made up for it with a number 3 scoring defense, as opponents have managed just 18.2 points and 325.5 yards per game. Our second betting advice is to pick under 42. Buffalo Bills vs Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buffalo has been just .500 since their bye week, going 3-3. In the 3 losses, they were only able to put up 6, 15, and 10 points respectively. In their wins, they averaged 34 points. It is obvious that this Bills team's success is predicated upon how the offense performs. Even when the defense steps up, as they did against Jacksonville holding them to 9 and New England holding them to 14, they still lost due to offensive ineptitude. Buffalo has had a rough few weeks, and it's difficult to know exactly which version of the Bills we all might see on Sunday. While their offense remains elite, they could be without their second-best receiving threat, and the defense remains beaten and battered, especially after the Patriots exploited a weakness. Expect the Bucs to emphasize the run early in an effort to keep Allen off the field and to see if they can find even a sliver of the success that New England did. Regardless, Brady will be able to pick apart the secondary and use one of the league's best receiving groups to pick apart Buffalo's injury-ridden secondary. In the 30-17 victory over the Falcons, Brady was spectacular. He completed 74.5% of his passes for 368 yards and 4 touchdowns. Chris Godwin was the beneficiary of 15 of those completions, while he piled up 143 yards. As for the touchdowns, Old Faithful Rob Gronkowski was the target Brady hit on 2 of his 4 touchdown passes. Leonard Fournette and Cameron Brate were fortunate enough to be on the other end of Brady's touchdown passes. Our first betting advice is to pick Tampa Bay -3.5. While Buffalo will be excited to showcase their offense on Sunday, the Bucs know that they have the upper hand. They rank first in the league in scoring offense and are second in total yards per game. While the running game remains a concern, the Patriots showed a weakness in Buffalo's run defense, so Tampa Bay should show some improvement on that side. The passing game will be enough either way though, ranking first in the league in passing yards per game and passing attempts per game. Even without Brown, the Bucs have one of the deepest wide receiver and tight end groups, and Tommy Brady will certainly pick on White's replacement in the secondary. Our second betting advice is to pick under 53.5. Quick reminder, BetUS is a platform that offers betting on all major sport and horse racing leagues. It has slots, table games, blackjack, and a variety of other casino games. All of the major US leagues are available for betting, including the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, and PGA. In addition, BetUS allows wagers on esports, Olympic events, soccer, cricket, boxing, cycling, and many more competitions. Join BetUS now using our link down below and get 125% cashback bonus on your first deposit on the sportsbook after you open an account and deposit using our link and use our promo code HIGHSTAKES. San Francisco 49ers vs Cincinnati Bengals. San Francisco's offense is tied for 13th in scoring with an average of 25.3 points per game. The 49ers average 125.9 yards rushing, which is 7th in the NFL, and 239.2 yards passing, which is 14th. Jimmy Garoppolo has passed for 2641 yards with 15 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Elijah Mitchell has rushed for 759 yards and 5 touchdowns, and Deebo Samuel has caught 56 passes for 1,006 yards and 5 touchdowns. San Francisco has flipped from a 2.5-point underdog to a 1.5-point favorite since this line opened on Sunday. The 49ers are in a must-win situation coming into this game, and I have more faith in them than Cincinnati at this point in the season. They have more playoff experience on their roster, and Burrow has been way too turnover-prone for my liking. He is coming off his 4th multi-interception game of the season. San Francisco ranks 5th in the NFL in pass defense. Cincinnati's offense is 14th best in the NFL, averaging 355.6 yards per game with 110.6 yards rushing and 245.0 yards passing. The Cincinnati Bengals have scored an average of 27.6 points per game this season, which is 7th best in the NFL, but has turned the ball over 19 times. Joe Burrow has passed for 3135 yards with 23 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. Joe Mixon has rushed for 978 yards and a team-best 12 touchdowns. The leading receiver is Ja'Marr Chase with 55 receptions for 958 yards and 8 touchdowns. Our first betting advice is to pick San Francisco minus 1.5. The Cincinnati offense is sitting at number 14 in the NFL, averaging 355.6 yards per game. Quarterback Joe Burrow has completed 68.3% of his passes for 3,135 yards and 23 touchdowns. He has also thrown 14 interceptions and has been sacked 36 times, though. Burrow's top target has been former LSU teammate Ja'Marr Chase, who has caught 55 passes for 958 yards and 8 touchdowns. He ranks 4th in the NFL in yards per catch average, 17.4. Running back Joe Mixon leads the rushing attack with 227 carries for 978 yards and 12 touchdowns. He is averaging 4.3 yards per carry. Cincinnati will be facing a San Francisco defense that ranks 6th in the league, allowing 319.4 yards per game. Our second betting advice is to pick over 47. Chicago Bears vs Green Bay Packers. Chicago is averaging 16.8 points per game. They rank 30th in points per game. Justin Fields has missed the last 2 weeks due to a rib injury. He has 1,361 passing yards, 4 passing TDs, 8 interceptions, and has added 2 rushing TDs. Chicago is last in the league in passing yards per game. Darnell Mooney is leading the Bears' WRs this season. He has 51 catches for 721 receiving yards and 3 receiving TDs. David Montgomery has 566 rushing yards, 4 rushing TDs, 20 catches, and 154 receiving yards in 8 games played. The Bears' defense is allowing 23.9 points per game and 2.8 sacks per game. They are bottom 10 in points per game allowed, but top 5 in sacks per game. Chicago is top 10 in passing yards allowed per game, but bottom 10 in rushing yards allowed per game. Our first betting advice is to pick Chicago plus 13. Green Bay comes into this contest at number 15 in yards per game, averaging 355.0 yards. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers has completed 66.2% of his passes for 2,878 yards and 23 touchdowns. He has one of the best TD to int ratios in the NFL, throwing just 4 interceptions. His top target has been wide receiver Davante Adams, who has caught 80 passes for 1,083 yards and 5 touchdowns. Outside of Adams, Randall Cobb is the second leading receiver with 28 catches for 375 yards. Green Bay plays just one team that is above the .500 mark down the stretch this year, so it has a shot at the top seed in the NFC. The Packers will be facing a Chicago defense that ranks 9th in the league, allowing 327.9 yards per game. Our second betting advice is to pick under 44.